Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Casey. My name is Casey Sampson, and we take about an hour out of every month, sit down and go over what's going on in the real estate market, some important topics. We like to make sure that our sellers, our buyers, and specifically our realtors are up to speed on what the hottest things are that are going up. Today we're going to be talking about market conditions. We're in the middle of July, so the question is, how is the market? We hear that question wherever we go. Any real estate professional walks around and you'll go in the Vienna Inn, hey, how's the market? Which market? Well, there's 200 markets around here. You tell me which market you want to talk about. So we'll talk a little bit about what the markets are going. We're going to talk today a lot with Mike Filan, who is here from First Heritage Mortgage. I just broke Madonna's rule. Madonna says, do not get your hand around your face. It's like, first thing I do. So today, I'll hear about that in the office meeting.
That's right.
So what we're going to talk about today is banks. So we have a transaction, and we put together the transaction. We have a buyer that wants to buy, a seller that wants to sell. We hand it over to the lender. We pray to God everything goes well, and when it doesn't go well, the seller's not going to sell their house, the buyer's not going to buy a house, and both realtors lose their commissions. So there's a lot at stake. We're really just betting a lot of money on these lenders are going to handle this thing. Now, this is where tragic mistakes can happen right out of the gate, so we're going to discuss a lot about that. You're going to know the difference between lenders and correspondent lenders, what some of the biggest problems are in the real estate market, what can kill a deal, what can cost sellers tens of thousands of dollars. In this market. And if you're not sharp and you're not ready, then a seller is going to lose $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. Let me tell you why. Because buyers are paying more today than homes are actually going to appraise for. So let me say again, we sold a house on Air Hill. It's worth $1.8 million. Appraisal, $1.675. That's all you're going to get. So, we went through a lender. 2 appraisals came in, 1.675. We got a contract for 1.8 million. So we end up getting $1.775 million, which is $100,000 over the appraised value of the house. So, there's a couple different ways you have to attack this, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about, really something that it's funny. We're out talking with we're out with Pat and Connie at Jiffy Lube, my brother, who works with me. We started talking about how, parents and kids get together to buy these houses and how they can do it and what the savings are. So Mike and I are going to dissect that part. So for those that are capable of having a parent participate, there's a huge benefit for you. And there's also a big benefit to the parents if they are capable. If they have the means to do it, that's the way to do it. If not, we're going to talk about some of the alternative forms of financing as well. So anyways, let's get going. Let me first, before we get into all the hubbub about the lending and all the rest of that stuff, I want to talk about market conditions really quick because it's very important. So there are 2 things that you learn, and hopefully I've gotten this through to everybody. There's 2 things of dissecting whether a market is good or a market is bad. And what is a market? A market is, if I've got a 1980s house that's worth $850,000, then my market is 1 mile radius between 825 and 875 and houses that are built in the 1980s. That's my market. So that market may be great. It may be crummy. So that's why I say there's 200 different markets around here. But generally, sales are down. And sales are down between 7 and 10%. Some areas can be as much as 15 to 20%. So the sales are down. Now, how does that affect buyers and sellers? It doesn't. It doesn't affect buyers and sellers at all. It has absolutely no meaning whatsoever if sales are up or down, okay? It's just a function of the supply of inventory is down.
Right.
So our sales are down. And it's not a function of there are not enough buyers. It's a function of there's not enough inventory. So currently, I'm doing a listing appointment tonight. The house is worth $1.2 million. You go and look at that specific market. There's nobody on the market. I mean, 5 have sold. One's under contract. There's nothing on the market. So that is a seller's market. That is one where a seller has control of that market. So what I do is I go to each market, and that is the Vienna market, under and over $1 million. I go to Oakton, I go to Oak Hill, probably 7 or 8 markets, and we'll do a ViennaPricing.com. We'll do OaktonPricing.com. We'll do OakHillPricing.com. We'll do Ashburn, Haymarket, Centerville, Westfield. And I kind of broke Centerville up into Westfield School District and Centerville School District. So, you can go to WestfieldPricing.com and you can see how your market is doing. Now, so generally, inventory is down, but sellers are still in control of most of the market. This is inventory and this is buyers. So we're putting a townhouse on the market in Centerville. There are no townhouses on the market in the Centerville School District. There's not. I mean, there's Sully Station. There's no house on the market.
Good time to be a seller.
Of course, you put it on the market. So he goes, I'll give you, we put it on for 400. But I'll give you 405, all cash. Sorry, man. I'm not taking it, because you have to let it simmer over the weekend. Get a bunch of contracts in. Let's let the market decide what it's really worth at this time. And it could be 420. It could be, who knows. So we're going to let the market decide, and that will be on Monday that we'll let that happen. So that market is different than other markets, even in Centerville. So you can consult that. Just put your townpricing.com, and that should take you to our pricing models. Now, with this said, I want us to look at this again. Inventory here, buyers here. So the inventory is going up in some areas, like in Centerville single-family houses. It went up 60%. So the inventory went up 60%. Will the buyers get there? That turns it from a seller's market to potential buyer's market. Right. So when you're looking to sell your house, you can't say, oh, it's a seller's market. Not everywhere. Not everywhere, not every town, not every price range. There is, the majority of the time, we're in a seller's market. Buyers exceed listings, quality listings, okay? Now, with that said, put your house on, overpriced at $25,000, you're gonna hear crickets. I'm just telling you, you're gonna hear crickets. The buyers are smart, they're not stupid. They will wait for the price to come where it should be, and they'll just sit there and wait on it. So, and if one does come in, you have one buyer. Now, if you have one buyer, then the buyer could do a home inspection, come in with 80 items on the list, and you're obligated to basically negotiate, but you don't have leverage when you're negotiating it. It's a lot easier when I have 4 contracts behind me to say, well, we'll fix 2 items, or we'll fix 1 item. Right. We're not fixing the rest of this garbage.
When you only have one bird in hand.
When you have one bird in hand, it's like, you're in control, I'm not in control. Right. So we're going to act like a tough guy, but we're bluffing, So, that's the difference. So you really need to understand your market. And where we are right now is we are down 10% for the year, 10% this month, 7% for the whole year. But the seller's market, the inventory is low, and that's keeping most markets into a seller's market. The exceptions being, right now you've got an supply of new homes in Vienna. So, you've got 10 homes on the market for every one that went under contract. So that is not a seller's market, that's a buyer's market. So if somebody's looking to buy a new home, now's the time to get out there and do it. Cut your deal on your new home. Normally, a builder or a seller, if I'm selling a $1.4 million house, I won't listen to a contract that has a contingency for you to buy your house. But I will if there's only 10% of the houses under contract. Right. Now you're willing to, you have more of a negotiating stance. So you can say, I tell you what, I want to buy your house. This is what I'm willing to pay. I do need to sell my house. Well, when it's a buyer's market, you can get away with that. When it's a seller's market, you cannot get away with that. So, knowing where you are, go to our website. And with that said, let me have a confession here. I go into sellers' houses every day. And every day, my job is to make sure that that house is in 2018 showing condition. At least it looks like, it needs to be updated. So remember this, everybody. If your house hasn't been updated in 10 years, you're out of date. If your kitchen has not been redone, I mean redone, totally redone, in 20 years, it is out of date. Because as time goes on, different things, different styles happen. Quartz countertops are big, not the granite, but the quartz countertops are big. You've got the shaker cabinets are in. A lot of people are doing white on white, The darker cabinets aren't as popular as they were back then. So if you want to look like if you haven't updated your kitchen in 20 years, then you're sitting on the 1990s kitchen. And that's a problem. Now, bathrooms, kitchens, flooring, paint. Paint should be done every 7-8 years. So, whereas tan was hot, Manchester tan and Bleecker beige, it ain't that way anymore. It's mindful gray and, Rockport gray and all that, different shades of gray. Now, So when I talk about different shades of gray, there's about 100 different shades of gray. Now, sometimes people have beige in their house and they need to update a certain percentage of their house. Then what we do is there's a family of grays that are called greige, a combination of beige and gray. So that gray will blend in with a beige house. And then you have, different kind of gray, blue grays. Sometimes they have blue walls. So this is a bluer gray. So there's different kinds of accent kind of grays that people can put in. But really,
tie everything together.
Yeah, and please, if you're going to sell your house, please, for God's sakes, please give somebody a call. Have a realtor in before you pick up a paintbrush or before you order paint. I know you love yellow. Love it. Know you love the yellow. Love the pink. Love the, that. We literally, Billy and I went to a listing appointment. And the guy, I said, we've got to paint this whole house. And he says, the painter just left. He just painted this entire house. And I said, and I looked around, I said, who picked these colors? He said, well, I did. They're Redskin colors. I want to sell it to a Redskin fan. I'm telling you, he painted that house Redskin, burgundy, and gold. Burgundy and gold.
Yeah.
Sell house. So
ketchup and mustard's good on a burger, but not on your walls.
Not on your walls. Yeah. For God's sake, please give me a call, because there's nothing worse than saying, well, the first thing we have to do is we have to paint. She goes, I just painted these. This is my favorite color. So basically, my sellers are all 50, 60, and 70. The buyers are all 30, 32, 34, 35, 38, 42. They are used to a certain look and feel, and we have to not do it for the seller. We have to do for what the buyers are going to do, and that also requires little updates and touches. Like, and it's real simple. We just sold a house in Wheatland Farms. It had not been updated in 20 years. No new kitchens, no new bathrooms, no new nothing, and no roof, no hot water heaters. That's it, right? So what we did was we went in, and with paint, changing out a little hardware, changing, I think we did hardware, we did paint, we did other, nice carpets and all. We put some rugs in the back. Updated it and sold in, 13 days. Now, that house had not been updated for 20 years. And there's really not a big budget to update it. So, you got to do what you can. So paint and hardware and carpets and rugs and da-da-da-da-da, before you know it, bam, it sells quick. Now, it had to be priced to the fact that you're going to need hot water heater, HVAC, a brand new roof. There's a lot of things you're going to have to do, but it is what it is. If you want to get in this neighborhood, this is your price.
Right.
So, and that works. So as far as updating things, so the moral of the story is I go in, I'm telling everybody, you got to update your house. Morgan comes to work for me. Been trying to get her to work for me for 2 years. She's awesome. She's a stud. So I get Morgan to come in. First thing she looks at me, she goes, yeah, your website's out of date. I said, my website? My award-winning website? That's a class of websites. I spent $3,000 having that thing done. And she's like, yeah, it was probably good in 2010. You're right. It was probably good in 2010. But now it's so far behind the times. I look at the stuff we're producing for our homes, for these homes we sell, and I'm like, oh my God. And I look at my website, it's like, Yeah, really. I'm out of date.
A little bit of a stake in the heart, but yeah.
You know what? I took my own medicine like a man. It's like, yeah, you're right. So we got a whole new website look and design, and it'll be launched in 30 days. And, she was right. I had to, but I got that feeling of what the sellers feel like when I walk in and go, hey, you're out of date. And I'm like, are you talking to me? You talking about my website? And I look at it, and it's right. It's got no splash. It's got no, windows that are moving all over the place. And it's like, you're right.
Takes an extra set of eyes.
It's all black.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess we could lighten that whole thing up. Yeah. So it is funny. So, expect when you have a realtor come to your house and realtors should not be shy. You're a professional. This is what it takes. We're trying to get the house ready for 9 out of 10 buyers, not you. You're not trying to stage the house for yourself. You're trying to stage for a 32-year-old woman that's got 2 or 3 kids. She does not want to buy her mom's house. So anything that looks like mom's house, get it out of there. The curtains, the shears, all that, get it out. They like, plantation shutters. Not that we're going to buy them, but I just want to take out the flowers that moms used to have. The
lacy stuff,
border, the lace, the country feel. It's sharp lines now. It's sharp lines, sharp colors, definition, architectural features. It is not. It's not flowers. With that said, we're launching a house, and so I bite my tongue on saying that sometimes. And there's a lot of flowers, and that's what she does, flowers, and she's very good at it, and it looks really good. So sometimes you just bite your tongue and say that's okay. But for the 30-somethings, it's rare that they would want to see that. So you got to be sensitive about it. But you're paid because they're going to look at you if it's not selling and say, hey, you said.
Right.
So if I'm going to get that you said, then we're going to tell them exactly what they need to do and what they need to price it. Okay.
Appeal to the masses.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the most important component about a real estate transaction, other than pricing, is once we get a meeting of the minds, once we have a contract set, we're going to turn it over to a lender. So Mike Filan is here. He has been my lender for a long, long time. He handles the transactions for our team, or as many as we can get to agree to work with him. A lot of times you have to sacrifice price to get service. You have to sacrifice price to get, your home field advantage. But quite honestly,
we're very competitive in price as well. So
they're so competitive that a couple guys, Jimmy Boone came over here from his mortgage company, and Chris Kelly came over from another mortgage company, I guess the one that works with Long and Foster. I said, what are you two guys doing here? They said, well, we couldn't beat the rates at First Heritage. So we decided if you can't beat them, join them.
Sure.
So it was on that day, it's like, oh, dang, our rates are better than everybody? It's like, I just want to make sure that our deals get done with good service and competitive rates. I didn't realize they were more competitive than the other guys were doing. So that's a great thing. First of all, I'd like to ask you to explain the difference between the Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, and a correspondent lender.
Sure. So a bank, has their company and their loan programs. They do the several different programs that they have, and that's all they do. They do it nationwide. A correspondent lender, we are our own company. We're local, regional. We have our own appraisers, local, regional appraisers versus,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, pulling them out from all different places. But we do everything in-house, so we're able to get things done quickly, nimbly. We have all our processing, underwriting. We close the loans in our name, fund our own loans, so we can get everything done quickly. We have 25, 30 different banks' programs. So we have great pricing because they don't have to pay their processors, underwriters, all of their staff to do it.
They buy it basically wholesale.
Yeah, they'll buy it wholesale from us after we complete the loan and get it done and fund it in our name. So we're able to get things done quickly. We have complete control. Everything's done in our office. And
well, and there's another form of lenders too, and they're called brokers.
Right.
And a broker looks at it and will place a loan with a BOA or a Wells, whoever has competitive money. Let me explain what a little more in depth here. So let's say you're looking for a Freddie, Fannie Mae conforming loan and blah, 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 blah. They call it who's in the money. Who is in the money right now? Well, this lender is very competitive. And this lender's really not. They're not in the money. They're out of the money. But they've got a great 10-1 arm and they got a great 7-1 arm, but they're terrible at 30-year fixed.
Right.
So you can choose which lender has the best rate at that time, okay? So you're still going to work with you. We're not working through an 800 number at a bank, but I know behind the scenes you're saying, okay, the best place for me to place this could be Wells Fargo or could be, back in the day it was Countrywide or something like that. Who's got the best program for me to put this in that gives me the most competitive rates?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm able to look through the 25 different programs and
You
pick
shop
and choose.
it.
Exactly.
You shop it. But you're shopping wholesale rates, so you don't have something tacked onto the top.
Right.
So a broker usually has to tack something onto the top, a point or some kind of brokerage fee or something like that.
Right.
And the problem with brokers is they don't close them in their own name. They really are dependent on a bank's underwriting system, a bank's closing department, a bank's everything. So they don't have the control that a correspondent lender has, in-house underwriting. In-house underwriting is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Okay? So imagine if I'm a broker and I go to Bank of America and I bring them a loan, I'm subject to their underwriting standards. They don't know me from Adam.
Right.
But I'm trying to get this loan through Bank of America. So they don't have the control you have. So I think with the brokers, you lose that kind of control. With a correspondent lender, they're bigger, they're stronger, they do their own underwriting. They have, and I want to talk about the appraisals here in a minute, they have their own appraisal department, and when you pick up the phone, you're going to pick up and you're going to talk to somebody like Mike. You're not going to talk. So it's the best of both worlds. He's got control of it all, and you've got one person to talk to. When I'm a listing agent, somebody says, I'm going to bring in a loan from BOA. If something goes wrong, I have an 800 number to talk to. I don't want to deal with an 800 number. I want to deal with a person, guy or girl. I want her name Vicky or Mike or Bob or somebody I can pick up the phone and say, what the heck's going on?
Sure.
But not only that, but these big correspondent lenders in this area, and there's a few of them, there's maybe 4 or 5 that you really trust and and you've worked at some of them too. And these are good, strong lenders and strong companies. So, I really, the problem here with going directly to a bank, okay, and if I see a bank, if I see 5 contracts and somebody says, I'm going to go with Wells Fargo, bless their heart, the loan may end up at Wells Fargo, but I'm not going through Wells Fargo to get that loan. And here's why. First, I get an 800 number. Second, they have appraisers that are coming in. Are they regulated on their appraisers different than the way you guys are? Because I asked Mike, we're struggling a lot with appraisers because Bank of America screwed one up terribly. Wells Fargo was way off. I just had Chase appraise a house that's worth $875,000. They appraised it for $806,000. So that's just crazy, man. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming, and they were all coming from different places.
Right. So we have our own rotation. So we pick the appraisers that we know and have worked with for years and years and are experts in the area.
Right.
What a lot of the big banks do is they just get the lowest bid. So if somebody is out in Culpeper or West Virginia or something and is licensed in Virginia, they might come from these outer areas and they're not the experts for that market.
I'm telling you, if I see so much as Wells Fargo one more time, or Bank of America or Chase, when an appraisal comes in, it sends a deal into turmoil. So that's why I really, really highly recommend that if you're a seller or you're a buyer or you're a realtor, that you're not dealing with the internet, you're not dealing with big banks. These are all 800 numbers you're talking to. Get a personal relationship, whether it's with Mike or somebody else, in a good correspondent lender in the area and let them handle it. They've got and let me tell you another thing. So let's just say that you go in and you're saying, okay, this place has got the best program, and all of a sudden, that money dries up. Well, you switch to another program, and we don't know anything about it. Like, I don't want to know. All I know is you got your commitment. You're going to switch from this lender to another lender because their program is stronger at this time. So all that stuff can be done behind the scenes without us even knowing about it.
Sure.
So the fact is you have much more control of the transaction. It's not a broker. It's not a bank. It's a correspondent lender. And those are the words you use to find out who your person is. Are you a broker? Yes, I got to find a correspondent lender.
Yeah, I can walk down the hallway if there's a problem. I can talk to the president of our company. I can talk to our operations manager. I can talk to our head of underwriting and figure out how to fix the problem. So,
And the person on the 800 number cannot.
no.
And to be honest with you, they have so many loans going through there, they really don't care. They've got a ton of business coming to them from their own business clients, and it's just fed to them. So you have to compete for our business. You have to compete for every client's business, whereas a bank may say, hey, I'm getting a ton of loans. This is our price. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, pound sand.
Right.
Now, sometimes they will go to I just had one, a buyer went to Bank of America for a program, and then they said a week before settlement, I think you got dragged into this, we don't have that program anymore. And everything goes into turmoil. Who do I have to call? 800 number. You complain to an 800 number and they're going to tell you to pound sand. So it's, again,
Yeah.
Lending is a very tough business, and you need to have professionals, okay? The big problem is buyers are paying more for houses than they are appraising for. So here's how we handle that, and then I'm going to get right on to Mike and the way that we're going to talk about parents working with their kids to buy houses. It's great for realtors, great for parents, and great for kids buying. It's more of a business transaction. It's called shared equity, and started doing it in the 90s, and it's making a comeback. So anyways, when you're listing a house, there's two numbers that we focus on. The first number is what is it going to appraise for? What are the appraisal comps, and what is the maximum amount they'll give us on these comps? So that's basically what you list it for. Now, what they're going to buy it for is sometimes $20,000, $25,000 more than you listed it for. And that's not unusual, and we have two this weekend, and they'll probably, the one in I'll bet $1 million. It's on for $400,000. It's going to go for $420,000. Okay, and it's going to have 5 people, and we're going to breeze through a home inspection, and it's going to appraise for $400,000. We have to make sure everybody knows that, But so when we put that under contract, we're going to say that the appraisal is contingent on the list price, not the sales. We don't have to hit the sales price because we said $400,000. You said $420,000.
Right.
So where's the other $20,000 coming from? Gift letter from mom and dad. Got it. But you got to prove that. So if we had done it the other way, $425,000, we might have got a $420,000. But if it appraises for $400,000, where it's going to appraise at, then the seller would have got $400,000. So if you list for low, you get more money. So we're going to list for $400,000. We're going to take $420,000. We're going to set the appraisal contingency at the list price, not the sales price, and we're going to keep every dime. And I don't care where the appraisal comes. I know I can get $400,000 with my eyes closed. Now, let's talk about the appraisers just real quick. I want to digress 1 second. 20% of the appraisers out there are going to be sticklers and tough and come in with a low appraisal. Just 20%. That's just the way they are. I'm talking about the big banks. 60% of the appraisers are going to try and work with you. They're going to, if you can really prove this, I'll give it to you. Mm-hmm. And 20% of the appraisers are saying, I don't care what it's worth. What did you sell it for? $425 sounds good to me. And they'll do what's called an MAI appraiser, made as instructed. You say you want $425, Mike? I'll give you $425.
Right.
But what we're trying to be aware of is I don't want the 20% of the time where we get caught up in a low appraisal and lose money on that group. So we're playing our percentages here, So in that case, we list at where we know it's going to appraise at. We let them bid it up. We take that price. We set the appraisal contingency. Usually that's where it's going to appraise, and we get the extra money. We're going to keep it and walk away. So in a market that people are paying more, like the current market, they're paying more than houses are appraising for, you need to be cautious of what is the appraised value and what is the actual value. They're not the same. I'm telling you, they're not the same number, okay? I've got one where I said 750, it'll sell for 775. Another agent came in and said, sell for 775. They come in, they get a contract for 775, and it shows up on the MRIS as 758. So I was on a contract for 775. Appraisal came in at 758. That's what we had to settle for. So because the seller decided to go with 775 instead of 750, they had to give back anything between the appraised value and the thing. And actually, the appraisal came in at 750, and they negotiated it to 758 or whatever. So really, they left whatever number that is, $17,000. They left $17,000 on the table when they walked away from settlement. So,
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
when I say 750, put it on for 750. Well, I've seen the movie, and when you do this 10 times, when you have 10 deals a month or 15 deals a month or whatever deals a month you have, when you see thinking over and over and over again, you're like, look, I'm going to try and warn you. It's coming.
Right. Professional. The professional.
I can lead them to water, but I can't make them drink it. So anyways, and I can tell you, if you do it wrong in the real estate world, you take a chance on losing $70,000 to $80,000. So be very careful out there, folks. All right, let's talk about, let's switch over to buying, okay? Buying market is still kind of tough, okay? So there's two ways that a first-time buyer can come in and buy a house. We've all got 20-something, 30-something kids. They're all looking to buy a house. So let me answer the first question, which is, aren't prices at their peak? Prices are not at their peak. Prices are today where they were in 2007, okay? We are not peaking. Income has gone up. Unemployment is down. The market is now back to where it was in 2007. So are prices too high? That's absurd. That's an absurd thing to say. So let's assume that your kid is going to buy a house. He needs a house to live in, and they're all going to want to buy a house sooner or later. Okay. So what's the best way to do it? So let's go with both scenarios. Let's start with a no money down.
Yeah, so a typical young person buying their first time home doesn't have a large down payment. So there's a number of different programs that we look at. The state of Virginia has VHDA.
Right.
They provide 100% financing. And they basically come in on a 97% conventional loan, and they'll provide
The down payment.
down payment for them.
So they're not putting up, $400,000. They're putting up the top 3 or 4%, which is your down payment.
Right, and doing it behind a conventional loan.
Okay.
Or an FHA loan.
So there have been cases where I know that you go to the settlement, and there's actually money going back to the buyer from their deposit. Okay. So if somebody wants to buy a house, they can buy it with little or no money down.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'm the kind of guy that I don't shop for lawnmowers. I let my neighbor shop for lawnmowers because he's really good at shopper. He shops for everything. He gets the best price, best deal, and everything. And I just tell him, whatever you find, get two. Right?
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I listen to guys like that. Really smart, really good with their, stuff. So the Dumases, this friend of mine, Cliff Dumas, right? And he said, they're going to buy a house. I'm putting up the money. And I said, well, they got no money down. And he goes, that's crazy. I'm not going to spend that kind of interest rate money. I can put up the down payment and they'll save all this money. So here's the guy's really, really good with his money. So it's like, you're right, Cliff. You put up, if you have the means
Right.
to put up the down payment. So I'm talking with Mike, and I said, Mike, what are the savings if a parent puts up the down payment for their kid? And the savings would be, if I put up no money down, I have a 1 interest rate. And if I put up 20% down, I have a lower interest rate. So the question is, what are the savings if my parents were to put up or contribute a 20% down payment to my house on a $400,000 house?
Yeah, on a $400,000 house, we were looking at just strictly in the interest rate, going from right now about 4.5. If you put 20% down, if you put 3% down, you'd be at 5.25. So just purely from the interest rate, you would save $250 a month.
So let's take a look at this. Now let me go back on this. So if we take $400,000, the difference between no money down at 5.25% and 20% down at 4.5%, you have a savings of $250 a month to the kid.
Just on the interest rate.
Just on the interest rate. We're not going to talk. We're going to talk about the rest of the money and what happens with the rest of the money here in a minute. But let's stop on that. So, car payment is probably about $250.
Right.
So they're saving their car payment by having a 20% down payment made by the parents. Okay.
Exactly.
Now the loans are out there, right? So if they want to buy a conventional loan, they can come in, get the best qualifying rate. Mom and dad put up the 20% down. Let's talk about closing costs. Can you take the closing costs, wrap those into maybe seller credits or something like that?
Absolutely.
What would a closing cost be on a $400,000 loan?
Typically, you're looking 2 to 2.5%, so
Okay.
$8,000 to $10,000.
So let's say $8,000 to $10,000, and it's not unique that a buyer wouldn't come in and say, "I tell you what, instead of giving me a lower price, give me $8,000 and let me get that money for my day." If they don't have it, if they do have it, put it down. Now, I do think the kids have to have some skin in the game.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So they've saved money. You put up the 10 grand for your closing costs, put up the down payment, and whatever business arrangement you want to have with them. Let's say you have the means, a lot of means, and you're saying, look, you're going to inherit it someday, any day.
Right.
So I might as well either gift it or whatever, put up that down payment for you, or under a shared equity arrangement, a business relationship that we did all through the 80s and 90s was somebody would put up a down payment, the one person would make the mortgage payments, and then when it's sold, the investor got their down payment back and they split the equity 50-50. And this way an investor did not have to worry about maintenance on the house. They didn't have to worry about fixing it up or doing any of that other stuff.
Sure.
They didn't have any negative cash flows. They just put up the down payment and walked away. And we'll see you in 10 years when you sell the house, and we'll split whatever equity is in the house. And the homeowner gets the house of their choice. They get the 20% down, so their mortgage payment is lower. They get better rates. So that's the way we used to do it. Now, currently, Mike and I were talking about this. After 2008, they took away a lot of programs. I mean, a lot of programs, including programs like that. So you don't have what's called related parties
Right.
being able to do a transaction like that.
Arm's length transaction, non-arm's length transaction.
What month is this?
July.
Okay. I'll bet you by September they have one. Because as markets improve, then especially now that they've removed some regulations from the banking industry, I think you're going to start seeing some more programs come out. And I hope they don't get stupid like they did before.
Right.
Okay?
The guidelines do start to ease up.
Yeah. It was funny because in 2005, I'll never forget it, I was sitting there going, God, I could get a ham sandwich alone around here. And it's like, if you get that ham sandwich to fog a mirror, you could get that ham sandwich alone,
Right.
I could get my 12-year-old daughter alone if I wanted to. But that's kind of how absurd it was at one time. I hope it doesn't come back to that.
Right.
But they're going to look for these boutique loans because they have cash and they need to put it out on the street. And they need to make a return on their cash. And to say, if an investor's in for 20% down and a homeowner's got great credit and they're, paying it, then maybe that mortgage will come back. We'll see.
Right.
But that's what's called a boutique loan, and they come in as markets loosen up, And to be honest with you, the mortgage banking industry, in my opinion, is going to need it because, lenders live on refis, right? So what percentage of your business do you think is refinances?
Right now, close
None.
to zero. Yeah. Close
But
to zero.
4
5
years
years
from
ago,
now,
yeah. Oh, sure.
right? Everybody's sitting on 5.5%, 6%. Now they're down at 3.5%, right?
Yeah, then it was 75% was refinances.
That's right. So why is the inventory so low? Everybody's sitting on 3.5 loans, right? They're all sitting on 3.5% loans. So if a person's sitting in his house right now and he's saying, I want to sell, I want to buy another house, it's gone from the people that want to do it and have to do it are in the market back then, but now it's really the people that have to do it. Because the people that want to do it will put the equation in and say, well, if I sell it and I buy a new house, I'm getting 4.5% to 5% rates. I'm sitting on a 3.25% right now.
Right.
So I can't tell you how many times that, I talk to people and they're like, I'm pretty comfortable. Pretty good right now, at 3.25%. So that's why you have a lot of squatting.
Right.
Now, if your job has changed, if somebody dies and you have to sell an estate, if there's a divorce, the family's growing, I can't live in a townhouse, I need a single family house. So growing, dying, divorcing, that kind of thing. Those are I have to do something.
Right. Some type of big life change.
So I think that right this second, you get kids, you need a big house. So a bigger house. So I think it's the have-tos are in the market and the want-tos are not in the market. And that's why inventory is low. Now, who does that hurt? It hurts realtors and lenders. It hurts people that do, in the real estate industry that depend on the volume of transactions. But does it hurt sellers? Not really, because it keeps inventory low. It is not, in my opinion, driving prices way up. Because normal buyers, normal inventory, today's buyers. I don't think there are this massive wave of buyers with this, I gotta buy, I'm willing to pay anything.
A feeding frenzy.
A feeding frenzy. Mm-hmm. There was no feeding frenzy this year. Mm-hmm. There was no, in my opinion, again, when the Sun Gazette, when Dan Fasciola called and said, give me one word to describe today's market, it's smart. These buyers are smart. They're not stupid. They're on the internet. They're looking at numbers. They're looking at, now, I don't want to digress into the Zestimate BS, but, don't look at Zestimates. Don't look at estimates, and don't look at any of the stuff on the website. You can look at it only to say, this is what buyers think my house is worth.
Right.
But that's not what it's worth. When you look at the difference between RPR, which is Realtor Property Resource, what that says your house is worth, and you put in an address that goes, this house is worth $1.375 million. Really? What was it really worth? It's worth $1.175 million. That's what it's really worth. So, we look at all these websites of the Zestimates, and it ranges a 20% spread. Anything from 1.15 to 1.375. Well, what is it? And then you got, so please, for God's sakes, don't be driven. We tell everybody this is what it is, but this is what it's really worth, okay? This is the true value. This is where the appraisers are going to appraise it at, and that is neighborhood, 1 mile radius, going back 3 months, like kind age, like kind size, those are your comps, that's it.
Right.
It's not rocket science. I can tell you exactly what it's going to appraise for, and we're going to sell it for more, and I'm going to fight with them, but that's what it's worth.
Right.
And to be honest with you, the 1.8 in Vienna that we sold for 1.8, it was going to appraise for 1.675. There's not a whole lot we can do about it, because,
it's where the comps were.
Well, a buyer will put a premium on Tom Stotts as your builder. Mm-hmm. It's just the guy is awesome.
Right.
People will put more of a value on his lot that backs to Glendon. There's no more of them. Spent $1 million across the street. What's this one worth? So if you put it all together, it's really worth $2 million, but it's only going to appraise for 1.675. So you got to know the difference between what is something going to appraise for and what is its actual value. And then when you throw in the knuckleheads from the websites, we're all over the place. Right. So you really need a professional to say, now everybody just stop. That's what the websites say. That's what your tax assessor says. Here's the actual comps that the appraiser is going to say, and here's what the buyers are willing to pay for it. Right. Okay? And those numbers are all different. So you got to pick the right number when you're doing it, because, Mike's going to have, and most of your appraisers, we're going to have Mike Mignotti come out and appraise the house. And Mike's kind of a tough guy. He's one of those guys in the 60%. You really got to prove it to him. Sure. He's not going to rubber stamp you. But, you can show them that the value of certain things does mean buyers are willing to pay more for it,
Right.
But by their rules, you can't do it. So anyways, but getting back to the parents and kids buying their house. Let's go back to that for a minute.
Sure.
Okay? one thing that the more I thought about what Cliff was saying and what his strategy, was, it would made perfect sense. Really, I'm a listing agent. I'm not really a buying. I have 6 buyer agents that work for me. But not only from a listing agent standpoint, not only is that buyer going to get a better interest rate, they're going to get a better deal. They're going to get the house.
Right.
The first thing I'm looking at when I'm trying to evaluate contracts on a good property, 5 contracts, the first thing you look at is down payment.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I got a VA. Sorry, man. Hey, I love service. I'm a Marine, but not for my seller. Not a VA, not an FHA, not a no money down, not a VHDA, not looking for that. Why? Because they're a little harder to appraise. Things could go wrong. It's a tougher to get that thing through. Whereas if somebody's putting up 20% down, that's what we're looking for. Minimum of 20% down is what you're looking for. So let's.
I was just going to say, I think as a general rule, when you're looking, if somebody has, is putting equity into the property, it's easier for them to qualify.
Yeah. It's easier to qualify and easier to appraise. Even though an appraiser won't admit it, he's looking at it going, they're putting up 20% down. I mean, yeah, I'm cool with that, Or we got no money down. I really better sharpen up my pencil and make sure I'm accurate with this. So the appraiser's going to be tougher. The listing agents are going to be harder. So you're not going to get that great deal. And when you're the one that's supplying the terms, so perfect example was, we did take a house, we did take a buyer that had no money down or very little money down on a property, and it was because nobody else would buy it. So they paid full price, and nobody else was going to buy it. So I think they paid a little more than they should have for the property, right? And maybe didn't get the exact property they wanted. So by putting up the 20% down, it's not just the $250 a month savings. It's actually, they actually could get the house they want.
Sure.
They can go in and be more competitive and fight for it. And that also means, if I'm getting my terms, then they might get a better price. So let's say I'm selling a house and a person's coming in with 20% down and, it wasn't priced right. It's been sitting for 30 days. Now they come in with their price, okay? Well, at no money down, we're going to give you your terms, but, you're going to we're going to work you over on the price.
Right.
But if you are putting up a substantial amount of money down, you are a more secure buyer that does have value to a listing agent and to a seller. So you will get better pricing, better properties, better deals, then you get the lower interest rate and the money savings. So, the more I think about it, I'll concede to Cliff Dumas, God love him, that, as far as that's concerned, yeah, I mean, we're dealing with just buyers putting up a lot of money, and I don't focus as much. I know that Kelly and everybody else focuses on the younger buyers, but it is funny, and kids that are independent are saying, I have my own job, I make my own money, I'll buy my own house. I don't need mom and dad to help me with a house. Well, it's more of a business thing than anything else. Sure. I think it really is because. Let's just say that mom and dad have their money and it's sitting in the bank at 1 or 2%, right?
Very little. Yeah.
I'm paying 4.5%. So look, mom, dad, you put up the $80,000 for the down payment. I'll give you 4.5% on that money. Now, if I'm paying 4.5% on that money, I still keep the $250 a month, right? But if mom and dad put up 80 grand, I think you figured out they were going to, let's say mom and dad put up 80,000, say, don't worry about it. That's part of your inheritance, don't worry about it. Or when you sell the house, give me my 80 grand back, okay? So if that's the case, then what are they saving every month?
They're saving about $600 a month.
Okay.
From the interest rate and the lower loan amount.
So if mom and dad don't charge me an interest rate, then I'm saving $600 a month. Now, let's look at the impact of that. Let's say that the lovely Leslie over here wants to buy a house. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, Leslie. You're going to go out and you're going to find a house, but your budget is about $350,000, but the house you want is worth $400,000 or $420,000. That's the house I really want, okay? Well, should you go in and say, okay, I'll get the down payment from my parents, it'll be a business transaction. You put up the money, I'll give you whatever you're getting in the bank, okay, or more, or a premium on that. All right, now I have a lower payment because I have lower interest rates, better terms, I get the house I want, I can pay them a little, parents are going to go, don't do
Right.
that, just when you pay me my money back, you can pay me that plus some interest, okay? But the parents right now are getting 1 or 2% on their money. And the kid is going to look at it. Now we invest $1 million in our kid between colleges and everything we've done for our kids. It's freaking $1 million, okay? So, parents, if they have the means, want their kids to succeed. They want them to be in a place that they want them to have a family. They want them to be happy, right? Can't take it with us. So they're more than happy if they have the means to say, look, here's the way I'd like to do it. I have this tape called Coffee with Casey, and he's sitting down with a lender and he's describing it. Could you watch this for me for a second and just watch the logic of what this is? It's more of a business transaction than anything else.
Right.
Huh?
That's right.
Well, I think that it's our job as professionals, real estate and lending professionals, to say, what's the best way for you to get in? Is it go with a 90% or 100% financing? It's available if you don't have any other means. But what's really the best way to do it? The best way to do it is to go to mom and dad and say, here's what I want to do. If you were to put up the down payment and I make all the mortgage payments, that when we sell it, I'll give you your money back, and then I have the equity in my house, and I'm up and running, and I can
Sure.
move forward. So it's a way for a kid to get started in owning their own house. And the parents have owned their house for 30 or 40 years, so they understand the value of home ownership, okay? And they really want their kids to be happy. And we have this chart, if you go to any one of my pricing, Vienna pricing, Oakton pricing. Actually, Morgan came up with this other thing that was friggin' brilliant, and we've been doing that now. It's what can I get for $700,000, right?
It's great.
So it's a website, and it's what can I get for 700K? What can I get for 700K.com. And so you go in, well, in Arlington, you get this condo, or you get a little house, and then as you go to Falls Church, you get a little bigger but older house, and then you go to Vienna and you get this, and then you move all the way out, and it's, you're looking at big houses, right? I mean, big houses. Once you get to Percyville, you're in a mansion. You own the damn place. So it's funny how you can see the different houses as you go through get bigger and bigger and newer, right?
Such a cool site.
Yeah, it's really a great site. So we'll put one up that's what can I get for $500,000, that's going to be cool too. But this lets the buyers know that the farther you go out, the more house you're going to get. Now, let's just assume, let's say Leslie's going, well, I want to buy a house. Now, where would you buy a house? Where would you possibly buy a house? Well, I'll tell you where you want to start. If it looks like you'll be working in a certain area, let's say it's a DC or Falls Church or Vienna or Chantilly, you're going to work out in this area, Tyson's Corner, whatever. The migration is usually about a half hour from where you work, west. So let's say I was sitting down with a seller and they said, well, we're in Oak Hill. CIA is saying, they're big CIA. Shh, don't tell anybody. Big CIA complex out here. I think it's going to help our home values. Really not. It's going to help the home values 30 minutes west, because everyone kind of can live with a 30-minute commute in the morning.
Sure.
So let's say that's a Leesburg or a Percyville or Ashburn or something like that. So basically, the employment center here is going to help people 30 minutes to its west. A big deal that's going on and wherever will help Tyson's Corner expansion. It will help 30 minutes west of Tyson's Corner. So, anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. Some people can handle an hour. There's a lot of people that live in Gainesville that work downtown. It's an hour and 20 minutes. That's okay. That's okay. They like driving out there. And once they get out there, they forget all about the commute, and they can listen to, books on tape or something like that. And they're cool. It's no big deal. So, I would say you're anywhere from, 30 minutes out. Now, let's take a young person that maybe their inclination is, I want to live in Arlington, right?
Right.
When you're young and you're cool and you're hip and you're dating and everything's fun and you're going, where you want to be? Want to be in Clarendon. Want to be somewhere down in Arlington, okay? I can't tell you how many houses we sell to people that live in Arlington.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're in there, they're cool, and then they get kids. We got to find a school district. They were rolling west. Now they go 30 minutes west, and they end up in Vienna or Falls Church or something like that, right? So it's cool to live down there for a little while until you have kids. Then you're going to migrate, and you're going to go,
Where their schools are. Yeah.
I need a house. I need some land. I need a single-family detached house. I need more space. I got kids. I need great schools. Now where are we going to go? Go to Haycock School District in Falls Church. You're going to go out to Vienna Elementary, or work your way down Oakton. But every stop that you make on that Route 66 corridor, then you save like $100,000. For every stop you make, it could be about $100,000.
Yeah. House starts getting bigger and bigger for the same
Starts
price. Yeah.
Bigger and bigger for the same price. So you got two main corridors that we feed. One is the Dulles corridor, and one is the 66 corridor. So at Dulles, you may have, McLean and Vienna, and then Reston, Herndon, and then
Ashburn.
Ashburn. So every one, progressively you get a bigger, newer house. Sure. So the question is, what's your tolerance for commute? So one thing I would caution if a young person is going to want to live in Arlington, then rent in Arlington, because it's expensive to buy something and sell it. Even though I like it, because we're the expense, we list it and sell it, we work money on buy it. But, if you want to get that out of your system, you want to be a little urban, you want to be where the action is, then rent, But when you do start to buy, when you start to settle down and put your roots down, this is where I'm going to live, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to, then, then you want to make that move. And it's a business transaction with mom and dad. It's not a gift. I'm not begging. I'm not saying, I know you put me through college, now I need another 80 grand. This is more of the investment portion of the show.
Right. I really am seeing parents wanting to help their kids more and more.
Yeah.
I would say probably 20%, maybe 1 out of every 5 deals that I do has a gift from parents now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's becoming more and more common, and it's out there. It's worth talking to your parents about and seeing if it's something that they'd be willing to deal with.
I think it's what is it they say in Pulp Fiction? He goes, "That's pride messing with you."
That's right.
He goes, "You just got to get over that."
Mm-hmm.
And it is pride.
Sure.
You're your own person, you're your own woman, you're your own man, you're out there, you're doing your own thing. The last thing you want to do is go back to mom and dad after they spend a bunch of money on college or a wedding and say, "Hey man, can I get some money for a down payment?"
Right.
But again, I keep going back to the word, if they have the means,
right,
then this is a good, and they're financially focused, then this is a financial investment, for the kids, where it's a good place to put your money. You're not going to lose it because it's in a house. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I will be producing grandchildren for you. And for God's sakes, I'll do anything for that grandkid. What do you need? You know what I mean? Oh, do you want to get a bigger house? So yeah, once you have grandkids, before you have grandkids, you're like, Rugrats running all over the place. But go ahead and have a grandkid. That's a whole different ball game. Now you got it's a whole different ball game.
Then Casey ends up going to Boston to go to the Wiggles. That's right.
Let me tell you how crazy it is. You talk about what parents will do. You get a grandkid, dude. We went to Boston to watch the Wiggles concert.
So awesome.
I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Wiggles concert or seen the Wiggles or know what the hell the Wiggles are. But do you know how long it took me to make a decision whether we were going to Boston so I could get this kid to see the Wiggles? 2 seconds. I'm on StubHub. I'm like, where are the Wiggles going to be? Boston? I like Boston. No, I'm cool with that. If the Beatles came back to life today and went and had a concert, I wouldn't go see it. But for that kid to see her favorite TV show, Stars, I'm going to Boston, man. That's right. We're going to have a ball. Yeah. And there was no ifs, ands, and buts. We're going to see the Wiggles. Mm-hmm. Now, personally, I happen to like the Wiggles. I know it's stupid, but when you're babysitting and you got to watch it, it's like a Stockholm syndrome. You start getting into it. So, anyways, and actually at the concert, again, I know it sounds stupid. Parents were having as much fun as the kids. I think parents had more fun than the kids. Mm-hmm. And I like Boston. I like the history behind Boston and
get a lobster roll,
all that stuff. Get my lobster rolls. Boston people are great. So, but that is the bond between parents and their kids. Mm-hmm. You want to see them succeed. You want to see them do the right thing. And there's one thing that and now we've left the generation of the depression babies, and most of them are now gone. But the last thing parents want to see is their kids waste money. Yeah, I'm paying 5. What do you mean you're paying 5.25? Well, if I put up 20% down, it'd be 4.5. Well, let's put up 20% down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's basically the crux of the show today. And if you walk away with nothing else, walk away with understanding the market and where we are in the market. And you have to be careful because some markets are going from a seller's market transitioning to a buyer's market. It can happen overnight like that. So you can keep up to date on that on Vienna Pricing, OaktonPricing.com, OakHillPricing.com, Ashburn, Haymarket, Centerville, Westfield, and Falls Church. Pricing.com. So that's where you stay up on the market. Today, as far as our lenders are concerned, 3 different kind of lenders. There's a bank, a correspondent lender, and a broker. The correspondent lender is 100% what I recommend and you should work with. Banks have their own money. A correspondent lender can shop all of these loans, but they close them, underwrite them, and appraise them all in-house. They have much more control of this. A broker, on the other hand, goes to the banks and sells them loans, but they're just like anybody else. They're subject to an 800 number, and they're brokering things. They're not closing them. They have no control, and it gets a little more expensive sometimes. Now they do, shop lenders, but so do correspondent lenders. So with all due respect to the brokers, a correspondent lender, I think, there's 5 really good ones in this area. First Heritage is the one that we work with. I work with Mike Filan. And just like in real estate, let me be really clear on this if you don't ever get anything. I don't go to Mike Filan because he's with First Heritage. I go to Mike Filan because I trust Mike Filan. Now, wherever Mike Filan wants to hang his shingle, that's his business. Okay? Now, it turns out First Heritage is a great place, but I deal with people. I don't deal with companies. The same way when you're listing your house. You don't call Long & Foster and say, give me the person on the desk. You're not listing with Long & Foster. You're listing with that agent. Right. Every agent is an independent contractor. Every agent has certain skill sets. You need to interview. You need to find out how they know how to do pricing, what their marketing strategy is, what their commission structures are going to be, how they're going to handle your house. You do not hire companies to sell your house. You hire agents. Big difference. Even in Sampson Properties, some good agents, some not so good agents. Long & Foster, great agents, not so great agents. So you always have that, work with people, don't work with companies, and that's why I say if you're going to Bank of America, forget it, because I don't know that 800 number guy. Don't know where he is. Don't even know what country he's in. Might not even be in the United States. I don't know where the hell he is. Right. All I know is when I need something, he says, I have to call you back or you're going to sit on the phone for 2 hours. So the correspondent lenders are different. What we spoke about today was a business relationship between parents and their kids to buy real estate. The bottom line is if the parents are helping with the down payment, they put up the 20%, the kid gets the best rate, the best terms, can actually buy the house because in a competitive situation, us listing agents are not going to take a contract with no money down when we have a bunch of 20% downers. So they get the house they want, the price they want, the lower payments. $600, Leslie, just for your reference, $600 equates to about $125,000 purchase value. So let's say you were thinking $350 and your parents were putting up the down payment. Then you could buy a $470,000 house and pay the exact same money per month if they put up the down payment. And then you gave them the down payment back when you sold the house. Now the difference between, let's say, a $320,000 house and a $450,000 house is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a difference between going home to something you want and going home to something that you bought, okay? Because it's expensive to sell something. Once you buy it, you own it. And you know what? It's expensive to sell it. So, and if you start renting it, I had a person that was right down by the Arlington, Fort Myers or whatever. She had owned that house for like 15 years. We sold it for exactly what she bought it for.
Yeah, wow.
And she had been managing it for 15 years. So I'm not a landlord. I don't like carrying things. If you're going to buy something, you should know you're going to be there for a long time. You should be putting down your roots. But for God's sakes, let's sit down and talk to mom and dad about that. And you know, the way to handle, let me tell you the way to handle this, guys. So on our site, we have Billy Sampson and Kelly Sampson and Colby Smith, who's great, and Pat, that's great. You just need to get an appointment with a realtor and bring the parents. And they'll be sitting with Mike, and they'll be sitting with us. And this is an introductory meeting that you have. And so before anybody goes out, don't kids try and sell your parents. You don't understand all the intricacies of it. You don't know how we got to $250 a month or $600 a month. All you know is they're saying the best thing to do is for parents and kids to partner up. And I will do an article on this so people will have it. It'll be available, how do parents partner with their kids. In fact, what we'll do is I'll do a Spark page for it, and we'll lay the whole thing out where all people have to do is look at the Spark page, go to the parents and say, okay, here's basically what I'm talking about. They wrote this big web page about how you do it, what the benefits are, and then let's go from there.
That sounds
Okay?
wonderful.
So I'll put something like that together, because the last thing I need is a kid trying to sell their parents on something they really don't understand, because they're not professionals. We are. So if you're looking for a house, then you can sit down with any one of our 6 buyer agents. You can email me at casey@caseysampson.com. If you need any help with your lending and you have a buyer and you need a good person, and again, listing agents, when they see First Heritage Mortgage on there, they know big-time correspondent lender, feel comfortable with it. This is Mike. I know Mike. We've done business with Mike. Then work with a reputable correspondent lender in the area, and the listing agents will be more than happy to work with you, because I'm not working with it. If you come in with a BOA, I'm out. Come in with Wells Fargo, you're at the bottom of the list. So, you know, make sure you're working with a good qualified person when you're dealing with this, okay? So email me if you want help with buyers. If you're a seller looking to sell, you can email me as well. If you're looking to get pre-qualified, the first thing a buyer does with us is go right to Mike, okay? What's your email?
It's mfilan, F-I-L-A-N, at fhmtg.com.
Just dial me at Casey Sampson.
There we go.
I can't write that crap down. That's just too.
Right.
Yeah, would you put it at the bottom for us?
Thank you.
I'll tell you what. Within a week, I'm going on vacation, so I can't do it now. I'll try and get it done, but I'll put up a Spark page, and it'll be parentpartnerships.com or something like that, and we'll put that together so we can get the buyers and their parents together in more of a business environment and show them how to do this. So if you can work with buyers, you give us a call. I'll put you in touch with Mike, and we'll be ready to go. Do we have anything else? Are we good?
We're good.
We're good. Thank you, Leslie. Now, you see what you
very
got
much.
out of today?
I think we should have lunch with my dad, but I don't know how much you're going to convince him.
Well, you know, the bottom line is this. And again, you know, Cliff was so clear with me that it's like, you know, you're right. That is the best way to do it. You know, I don't think about that much, you know, and because again, I'm a listing agent. My guys are all buyer agents, but you know, I just don't think about working with the younger people and how they get that. But it just made so good a sense that how he did it. I was like, yeah, you know, everybody should be doing that. You know, that just he's the lawnmower guy. He buys the lawnmower, so I'll buy 2. It's like, you're right, Cliff. That is the smartest way to go. So you know, and a lot of these people do that. And let me tell you, when I have a deal and I say, the price, we asked for $750 and you said $775. I need to know where you're getting that other $25,000. And inevitably, I get a gift letter for $25,000 from mom and dad. Mm-hmm. So that is where it comes from. Yeah. So you, and I'm focusing on Leslie right now as a prototype buyer, you are in competition with other 30-somethings that are going to be buying too. So you need a competitive advantage when you go out and look at a house. You want to get, you know, you need to be at a competitive advantage at all times. You need to be saving money, keeping your cash down, buying what you want, you know, and being able to get that house and not selling for, you know, the bottom feeders of the only ones that'll take no money down people, right. You know. So, and I will say this, I would not have put this push on for the last 8 to 10 years. Because to be honest with you, it's not really, you know, real estate market isn't exactly exploding out there, you know. But I think because if we've had a 10-year lull or 11, 12-year lull, and it's finally back to where it is, I do think now is a good stable time for somebody to get back into it, get your roots down, and let's get it on. So we'll help you guys with that. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michelle. What's your name again? Julia. Julia's going back to UVA, so that means I'll be working for Julia someday. Julia's going to come back and go, yeah, where's that fat old guy? Oh, is her dad a realtor too? We're taking good care of Julia.
That's right. That's right.
All right. I am doing for you realtors that are out there on the Samson intranet, on August the 1st, we're going to be doing my entire listing presentation, how we do everything. And I'm opening up all of it. What letter does Michelle send out? Look, she's shaking her head. I can't believe you're telling everybody this. Let me tell you why, Michelle. Let me tell you why. And I hope Billy's listening because I know he hates doing this too. Why are you telling everybody what we do? Now, let me explain clearly how Samson Properties works. If you look outside of my brother's office, it has a big movie thing for pay it forward. And the pay it forward concept is, I'm going to do something great for you. I'm going to set you up. I'm going to train you. I'm going to put you on your feet, and you're going to do great things. And when you do great things, then you pay it forward too. Then you train other people, and you double back and help everyone. So all I'm doing is paying it forward. You know, in 2007, I realized this was a great idea. I mean, 2007, I said, 2005, I came, started helping him do this, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really good stuff. So in 2007, I broke loose and back to, you know, and zoom, and you do $100 million a year. So this is a function in this company of pay it forward. And so many people walk up to me yesterday and said, I can't believe this, you know, in like another company, everybody's like this.
Hides their secrets.
They hide their secrets. They would never even think about telling you, you know, what the big listing agent is going to do. But that's the difference. The difference is in this company, you pay it forward. You know, we're going to help you, and when you get good, you help others. And when that happens, you have an environment, what's called a corporate environment of everybody helping everybody. And then all seas rise. So that's why we're doing it. And hopefully, you know, that's why we're going to lay it all out, and everybody can come here, and we'll show everything that we do. And then hopefully they get something out of that and move forward. Because, you know, the last thing I need is as a Samson agent to walk out and do a poor job, and then we all look bad. So we don't want anybody to do a poor job. We want everybody to do a good job. So anyways, that'll be August the 1st. It'll be here in our office. I don't know that we're going to broadcast that live. I just soon stay inside. But we'll put it on tape, and any of our agents that go to Samson University can go in there and they can look at it and follow how we do our listing presentation. Okay? Mike Filan, we appreciate you coming, buddy.
Thank you very much.
What's your phone number, by the way, if anybody wants?
703-899-8720. Mike Filan.
Good. I'm telling you, man, that's your first stop. You're going to buy a house. All righty, Coffee with Casey signing off. Say cut.
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 Thank you.
See you.